This is a description of the Arelle open source XBRL platform and its use to support multi-company comparison for the XBRL Challenge 2013 activities. The goal of Arelle is to respond to a call for open source software for XBRL and to provide a full set of extension modules and formula processors such as can be used here for multi-company data extraction. The goal of Arelle is to contribute to open source XBRL tooling. It provides both a desktop user interactive and a server-based mode of operation and is intended to be integrated to workflows such as to investor-based tool workflow and to institutional workflow. Arelle supports the full set of XBRL specifications and the full set of extension modules, including those modules such as versioning, rendering, table link base, and formula processing. And to promote formula processing use, in addition to the XBRL International Link Base, we have just begun to offer a capability for the core filing originated Sphinx formula language, which is in use by XBRL US. The Sphinx formulas can be directly executed, which is what we're showing here, and we're also developing a capability to compile them into XBRL formula link base. Arelle is an extendable tool. It is based on a pluggable extensions framework where additional facilities can be added without a need to modify the core part of the coding, which is all open source. The reason for open source is that until it was available, XBRL progress was somewhat stymied in that many of the new research areas that need development are not commercially viable for commercial investment. So it's been a platform to prove new concepts and rapidly prototype and provide early use of facilities, in particular the extension modules of versioning, formula, and rendering. Arelle will be used to further develop the abstract model, which will lead to more interoperable fine-grained semantics that will work between XBRL and other standards. And it's an alternative for prototyping use of XBRL in non-XML facilities, such as right now we're looking at the NoSQL database options. First and foremost, Arelle is an XBRL processor, so it can open and validate XBRL documents, and it is in pretty wide use commercially and in institutions and government and banking institutions to validate XBRL, both the standard parts of this specification such as the base spec and dimensions, and also filer rules have been implemented for the US SEC, for the UK HMRC, for IFRS, and extension rules can be implemented with the formula processing facilities and the plug-in extension modules. So Arelle is a fully integrated XBRL platform. It will parse, validate, view, execute formulas, and allow people to do diffs and comparisons of taxonomies across different versions. Users can use it interactively on the desktop in batch mode by either command line or web service integration. It can be wrappered to work with all different programming languages and offers a API, a programmer interface, both at a high level, such as for operations like validating, and at a low level, such as for operations on the data model to do detailed inquiries. The web service uses what's called a REST web interface, which allows URL type queries to be done from any programming language and to also integrate with the extensions framework. Finally, before going on, last slide before going on to a quick installation and demo, it's built in the Python language. The basic development language is Python 3.2. We also support Python 2.7 for non-interactive usage, such as on servers. The Python language is widely accepted by the financial modeling community, and it's known for an ability to be very productive in doing high-level operations such as needed by XBRL. Python is a language derived from a set theory language called Settle. It is unlike Java and C#. It's not derived from the Algol series of languages, and therefore it has some features that make it quite applicable to building of validation and formula processors. The implementation is based on the Apache 2 license. There is no GPL, so you are free to use Arelle in any commercial or governmental projects that would otherwise be blocked from using GPL products. Let's move on to the demo. I have preloaded Arelle, and when you load Arelle, if you download it the first time from the website, then in order to use the Sphinx processor, Sphinx formula processor, which we'll use to extract multi-company ratios for comparison, the Sphinx processor is in a plugin, and to first install plugins under Help, one selects Manage Plugins. And under Manage Plugins, you can see I've already loaded several. This button, Find Plugins Locally, will take you to a file chooser, and in the file chooser you will go to where Arelle is installed, and there's an example subdirectory and a plugin subdirectory under that. And under the plugin subdirectory is a Sphinx directory for the formula processor, and you would click on the init, the initialize, it's the first file entry in that directory, and then open that to install the formula processor. In my case, it's already been installed, and so now it is ready to be used. To do a batch operation for purposes of demo on a multiple set of formula ratios, under Tools, select the RSS watch and the options entry, which will allow us to select which RSS feed, and we want the one for US GAAP filings, and to select a set of formula rules. In this case, I've coded some up to provide some standard US GAAP ratios. I will review those after we demonstrate them, but these allow some simple actions such as reporting the entity, the document type, the period end of a filing, and then some of the standard ratios that I obtained from various documents online on the internet, such as working capital, return on equity, some ratio of sales to fixed assets, and these are just taken off of websites such as under Google, and in the file I have references to them. One by Roger DeBrasini at the Kansas University Conference in 2011, and another on Charlie Hoffman's quite famous website, where he has a listing of an ontology of US GAAP key ratios. So once the Sphinx file is selected, one can check off to execute Sphinx rules, and that will then have it ready to start processing an RSS feed, which is done by going under Tools, RSS Watch, and Start. And that causes the RSS feed to be downloaded and cached. It takes a few seconds if you have a decent web access. And then one by one these filings will be loaded and processed for these various ratios. So here the first one, we have an entity registrant ratio. In this case we happen to pick KKNR company. It looks like it's a 10K for 2012, and we have a set of current ratios. In this case, current ratio is unbounded. They didn't report the necessary figures. In fact, everything's unbounded, so we'll go down to the next filing. Hopefully it has some data available for us. Our next filing looks like it's a company called AON, 10K for 2012, and now we have some ratios for which data is available, and this looks fishy, but it's a working capital ratio, some cash ratios, some debt ratios according to those formulas. And this information, by right-clicking it, can be saved to a file as text. But the real power of Arelle is to integrate it with other tools in an environment, and then one could select to have this log come out in XML and put this into a workflow with tools that you have to analyze the filings. The kind of reasons for doing this would be you now have access to XBRL filings from the SEC at the time they're released to the public. Of course, these ratios are all available on our standard websites such as Morningstar, but they're not available at the second that the SEC releases them. This way you have an option, if you have your own tooling, investor tooling, to process the data in real time and make investment decisions as soon as the information is released to the public, and certainly before any advisors have time to do their normal processing of data and write up articles. I'm going to turn off the RSS watch by pressing stop. That will cause it to stop at the end of the next filing. And this gives you just a really quick overview of this facility to give you a basic introduction. Thank you.